this echo chamber where all this stuff works. The problem is, as Michael well knows, is that when you take it out of the echo chamber and you have to talk to real voters and real people who may like Hillary Clinton or may find this fascinating and don't hate NBC or CNN, then you're making your arguments to people who you're not used to talking to, and that's the problem.
Let's assume that the production company that's doing the Hillary story does it the way they do TV.
Right.
It's got some sex in it. It's got some excitement in it, some, tabloid type stuff. They go through the whole relationship between Hillary and Bill and his philandering. They do the whole thing.
Right.
They do the whole thing with Monica, do the whole thing. They do Jennifer Flowers, do the whole thing with her press conference. All the public record stuff. Nothing new, just public record stuff. Then they do the whole thing about how she was angry about it and should have been about his unfaithfulness. Right. All that. Then they do about how the fact that she was on the wrong side of the Iraq war in the 2008 election. How she lost it upset a victory to a guy, African-American guy that nobody had a prayer. How does all that necessarily help her be elected?
Well,
I'm just asking.
No, from a certain standpoint, it doesn't. And so that's the problem with coming out before the video, the documentary, the film is even produced, or the script written. We don't know.
Who wants the sequel after? By the way, Joni, after hearing that whole story I just told, I didn't mean to sell it that bad, but that whole Clinton story, who wants the sequel? You might just say,
it could work that way.
It could work that way.
It could work that way.
That's the point, again, of making the noise before you actually know what the noise should be made about. And this is more the politics of it.
So the smart move would be to ask for a preview copy of the movie and then trash it.
That's the smart move. You get the preview copy of it, you take a look at it, and then you have the legitimacy to stand on the platform.
Okay, now this is an even harder one. I go to another network, easier for me. CNN. So Jeff Zucker's commission apparently commissioned a documentary. A documentary can be on anybody, and there's no reason to believe it's going to be favorable, Joan.
Right.
Why would they attack CNN? Right. Everybody will do a documentary. I'm sure Fox has probably thought of doing one. How does that suggest unfairness or a heavy thumb on the scale?
It doesn't. If you're really an honest person, it doesn't. But if you're playing to your base, if you're playing to that paranoid segment of GOP voters who believe that the media are against them, Chris, then it always works. It always works to bash CNN. It always works to bash NBC. It always works to bash the New York Times. And that's what he's doing. He has no idea what they're going to do. As we've all laid out, there's plenty of fodder for this to be negative. There are people who are critics of hers. I would be nervous if I were her a little bit. You know, who knows how it could go. But this is a play. This is a play for the base. Yeah.
By the way, those who talk about the tight relationship between MSNBC and Barack Obama, for example, count the number of times he's been on this network. Zero.
But that's,
Michael Steele, thank you.
I know what they've said about it.
Well, he agrees with us, and we agree with him sometimes. But I actually have my views, and he tends to coincide with them.